you were in Venice. What was the difference between the Venice experience and the Telluride experience, and how bleary-eyed are you?
Less bleary-eyed today. I feel less bleary-eyed today.
Yeah, I'm settling in a little bit. Whereas in Venice, we never had time to settle in. We screened, and then the next day we were off. But the whole thing has been one kind of dreamy blur. But it is weird to go from like the glitz of Venice and our tux, or my tux and her dress, to then landing here in this. I mean, it feels like this oasis that shouldn't really exist.
It's unbelievable.
So, yeah.
You're both newbies.
Yeah.
I'd never been to Venice Film Festival
First-timers.
or this film festival. And
I've been to Venice once, but I've never been to Telluride.
Yeah.
Or even Colorado. It's incredible.
To say that this project is audacious and brave is an understatement. And we all know, people know that there are all these issues with musicals and what will audiences accept and what will they buy. And it struck me that what you had to do and what you did do was to create a relationship between two actors so that we could dive into the movie. And all the emotion that comes out in the songs is effective, but it won't be unless that's true. And I want to know how central that was for you too in making this film.
Yeah, it's exactly what you said, because to me, when musicals work, and what I love about musicals is it's just that simple emotional equation of if you get too emotional to express your feelings in dialogue, you express it in song. And but that means the emotion has to come first. So certainly that was kind of at the core of the writing process and just trying to nail those characters. But it really, I think, became a real thing when Emma and Ryan came on board, and it was funny because I feel like we were spending as much time talking through the characters and really workshopping scenes, non-musical scenes, as you guys were learning the dances and getting ready as musical performers.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
And for you?
I mean, for me, of course, that was that was incredibly important to me. I think I knew on a gut level that I couldn't. We wouldn't be able to do that. It's what you said. It's what you said. That it wouldn't really hit home unless the relationship felt real and unless we found the connection between those two characters in a very human and grounded way in the midst of all of this kind of, colorful glitz and chaos.
For you, what was the most nerve-wracking aspect of it? The dancing or the singing? I know you've done cabaret. I know you know your chops. Broadway's one thing.
Yeah, it's different. I would say the singing. The singing would be my scariest part.
And the audition song?
The audition song was,
live?
Live. That was a big day.
That
was the day we built up to. That was, when I looked on the schedule, it was circled that day.
What did that day require to pull off in terms of prep and delivery?
I feel like obviously it's much more, you'll have more to say about it than I do. I mean, in a way, I always knew that day had to be a moment where the glitz and chaos that you talk about referring to the rest of the movie had to kind of take a back seat, that suddenly the movie had to sort of stand still for a moment. A movie that before that moment has been all about kind of freewheeling camera movement and exuberance had to become incredibly simple, even stark, and just be about Emma. Just be about one single person, and no sort of razzle-dazzle. But that meant that, it was kind of like okay, Emma, now everything's going to stop and it's all up to you. So it's like, I felt bad for you. I felt happy I was behind the camera, but it was just a magical experience for me, just being able to be there, kind of watching it unfold. I think we wound up using, I forget how many takes we did, but I think we wound up using...
We did 9
takes, and I think we wound up using one of the earlier takes. Of course, you remember everything. Yeah,
well, your
traumatically.
voice had to hold out.
Yeah, that was the wildest part, because my voice, I mean, you can hear my voice is not exactly, I lose my voice quite easily. But that was what the training was for. I mean, we knew that day was coming, so it was just, it happened. And we have more scenes that day after that, too.
And
we had more to do.
Yeah, it wasn't even a full day. But
No.
I also think, like, the tricky thing, even with a really simple scene seemingly simple scene like that, camera-wise, in terms of, because to make it a single sort of fluid take, we still had to do obviously a very carefully timed lighting effect, and like the crew had to fly out a table as we floated, over it, and we had to move out other actors. The camera had to do all these things, and Emma has to somehow maintain this absolute intimacy while stuff is like, a whole scene change is happening in front of her, and we have to like not feel that at all. And so that I think again is like something that I remain, anytime I watch that scene, still sort of just awed by in your performance, is that I forget that we're flying out that table and the two other actors and changing the light cues. Like, it feels like we're just alone with you, which I think was the hope.
Thanks,
So good job.
Thanks.
So that you and Ryan had to work together, and what's the level of his expertise in this arena?
He was he had to learn piano. That was a huge thing. He was practicing so much jazz piano. But also, he's had a band before, and he had danced before. So he's pretty,
athletic,
and he's very athletic. He had taken ballet, I know, in the past. So, but we were both, I think, learning to tap dance and ballroom dance for the first time. So he did have a history of some musical inclination.
When you took off the high heels and put the tap shoes on, it was real.
Right.
It wasn't movie tap shoes.
Right. Yeah. It was, and I was very grateful for that too. That we weren't trying to dance on a hillside in heels.
In heels, yeah.
That would have been
the little.
And we had matching shoes in that.
Well, I was going to say the
number.
two-tone shoes that our costume designer Mary created for you guys.
Yeah.
I sort of love that touch.
And you had some fun with the costumes, and I happened to see Les Demoiselles de Rochefort recently.
Recently, yeah.
I did. Have you ever seen that?
I've
movie?
never seen the Rochefort
Oh
one.
my God!
No,
Treat
I've seen
yourself.
Umbrellas, but I haven't seen.
But it has all the colorful costumes.
Yeah, Rochefort is just really one of my favorites of all time. Yep.
Amazing. I can't believe I still
How
haven't seen
worried were you about the audience buying this artificial musical that New York tried to be as well? It's a specific genre that doesn't always play.
Yeah. I was certainly worried, terrified, all those things. You just kind of, you hope that people will, I don't know, like respond to the things you do, but respond to the same things that you respond to. And there's something kind of inherent in, especially the older musicals, that I think is more universal than we even give them credit for, that there's something about when we feel so emotional in life, when we fall in love, or when our hearts get broken, that life can feel like a musical, and that we use music to often kind of comment on our own emotions in life, so why shouldn't a movie do that? But again, I think it's just as you were saying before, like it comes down to the actors, to the whole cast, to ground it, and I think, today, even more so than 50 years ago, that was a big burden, like that was a big kind of gambit and challenge just for you guys to make it somehow feel contemporary and make it feel ultimately like just a story about real people. That's like what we wanted it to feel like.
Well, it struck me that, like with Whiplash, this movie is about something. It's about how artists balance their lives and their careers, and it's something that all actors, all creative people can certainly identify with, because in order to become Emma Stone, in order to become Damien Chazelle, you have to give things up. And I wondered how much you related to this material personally.
That's definitely true. I think that everything requires sacrifice, and I don't think that you can have it all at once. So, there was a lot I related to, or that resonated with me, I think, at least in my character's experience. Maybe not as directly as saying this relationship had to fall by the wayside so that, her dreams could come true, or his dreams could come true, and that's why they can't be together. But elements of I don't know, things in my life that I've missed out on in order to also have this incredible other, I didn't go to high school or college, which is terrible to say, but I didn't have those kind of experiences. I was homeschooled, and, only once all my friends had graduated from childhood did I realize I will never have gone to school in that way. Not that I couldn't go back, but it just, there are elements of life that I'm so grateful for, that I was able to do something that I love so much at a young age. But there are certain rites of passage, I think, in life that you also can maybe miss out on.
And there's roads not taken. I understand you and your composer, Justin Hurwitz.
Yep.
You were at Harvard. You were in a band that took off without you.
Yes, it was great life timing. Right when we decided to quit the band is when it takes off. It was not taking
band
off
took off?
before we quit. So we kick ourselves for that. But then again, this wouldn't have happened without that. But you're right. It's the road not taken for sure. And I think that I think in the case of Justin and myself, there was a lot of time spent just kind of talking movies and talking in theoretical terms, and talking about this movie, but it was always something that was just in our heads, and and I'd write the script and he'd write the music, but it was that kind of thing of, we're not sure if we'll ever actually be able to put this on screen, but like at least it's fun pretending and dreaming it, so that's, I think, what makes this feel really surreal right now. It's just kind of weird almost that it is on screen, and that we're like at Telluride. I don't know. I'm still. It's bizarre.
You need to take some hits of your oxygen tank.
It's the oxygen tank that's
it's the altitude
that's holding me.
So what would be the number besides the audition number, just in terms of the logistics and the numbers of elements and extraordinary ambition? Would you say was the most difficult to pull off?
Duet.
Yeah, I think for you, I mean, the
and for you, no, probably Another Day of Sun.
At the beginning.
The highway one was obviously that's kind of an obvious logistical nightmare.
How did you do that in 2 sentences? She said. It was an easy pass ramp, so they could shut it down for 2 days. Is what we had. We had been rehearsing it in parking lots till then, and then we just kind of got on there and shot it. I mean, it's really sort of it couldn't have happened without obviously the choreographer and the DP and everyone just being kind of completely in sync. How many cameras?
Just one. Yeah,
wow.
because the whole idea was to do it in this sinewy take and without any coverage. So
how long is the take?
Well, I mean, there's stitches in there. There's hidden cuts, but
I didn't miss a long shot.
There's only 2.
There's 2 stitches, and so I think it's like a 1 minute and then a 2 minute and then a 1 minute or something.
Wow.
So 3 shots.
So you're telling the audience right off the bat what they're in for.
Yeah.
That's the idea.
I mean, I think you're talking about today's audience's unease with musicals. That made it absolutely crucial to just be very, very honest at the beginning about, so that anyone who wants to walk out, now's the chance, because this is what the movie can sometimes do, but also to set a certain tone that then we could maybe sort of subvert a little bit and maybe ground a little bit more, and then in a way I always think of it as that the movie sort of, it then takes their relationship and everything that you guys go through to before we can ever come back to the sheer scope of something like the traffic number, which is how we end the movie.
And for you, the duet, which is the on the hill overlooking LA, sunset with the shoes matching.
Yes, and that one was a 6-minute take. So that was from us walking up the hill all the way through the end of the number. When I put the thing under my chin and find my car, that was 1 take on a crane. So we rehearsed that for, 2.5 months. We were learning first how to dance and then how to do that number, and then.
And are you lip syncing to it?
Yes, that one's pre-recorded.
Most of the others are, except for audition, correct?
Most of the vocal numbers are
live.
But it's when dancing is involved that we would pre-record because of the dance. Yep.
Yeah, but so that one, was a lip sync on set. So we would rehearse that for about 2.5 months. Right? Is that the right amount of time? Yeah, about 10 weeks. The dance sequence, and then on the weekends, on Saturdays, we would go to Griffith Park, which is where we shot it, on that hill, and we would practice it on the hill for a few hours during our rehearsal period. And then we had 2 days at Magic Hour to do about 5 takes within 30 minutes to an hour, again and again.
Because you only get that sky for
That's
about,
right.
And he used
half
the
an hour.
second take of the second day. I learned that today.